Hey y'all, this is Treacherous Slayer coming at y'all with another video. And before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Now today, y'all, we're getting into the season 3 of Squid Game. And y'all, I will say some of my predictions did come true. But not in the way I expected them to. I knew, and if you haven't watched the season yet, this is the part where you should click off and go watch a spoiler-free review of someone else, because I'm definitely about to get into spoilers because I don't even know how to process this finale. I will say this series finale was definitely anticlimactic. I know that might, upset some people, but it was very anticlimactic. I feel like there are a few plot holes that could have been developed a little bit more, especially in terms of character development with certain characters. Overall, it was still an entertaining season, but I don't know, I feel like a lot of things could have been more extended. A lot of scenes could have got extended, and then more characters could have got a little bit more shine. So season 3, starts out with the first game of hide and seek. And, the red team, they have to find and search and kill the blue team. And this already was an intense start, of the season, since we seen Jung Bae get bopped in front of Gi-hong, and Gi-hong, had a mental breakdown, and the PlayStation masked man carried him back into the arena where the other players were, and then Hyunju and others, Gamsu and Junhee, tried to, talk to him and everything. And you had the crazy psychic lady who still spouting her delusion towards Gi-hong, causing him to snap. So we see a little bit tension within the game room, and other players just not taking him serious, and he just clocked out at this point. So obviously, the first game we get introduced was hide and seek, as I just mentioned before. And y'all, that was a very intense watch. And I will say that's set the tone for how irritating the rest of the season was going to go in terms of losing some of my faves. Because we lost Hyunju, which I really didn't want to lose her that early in the season. I'm like, I know it could have been a possibility, but I was really hoping she would be one of the finalists, and she wasn't one of the finalists. But she truly shined in this episode by protecting Junhee and Gamsu when Junhee's water broke and her damn ankle broke. I'm like, great, that's a recipe for disaster within a death game. And she protected him as Junhee gave birth, and luckily she found the exit, but unfortunately she was stabbed in the back by Junhee's BD, number 333, with his lame ass. Always the first to stab someone in the back first, but ask questions later. So that was a devastating loss, and I was not expecting to lose her that episode. And not to mention Gamsu, which is number 7's mother. Oh my gosh, I can't stand him. What a coward. He had the opportunity to take out a player as, he was in the thick of it in self-defense. He really could have taken out the player. But then once Junhee and Gamsu reached the exit door, that's when he wants to have some balls, I guess, to try to take out Junhee and her baby. I'm like, so you let the other nigga tackle you and slash your arm, but you couldn't take him out when you had the chance, but you're gonna go after a woman who just gave birth to her newborn child. Okay, I guess that makes sense in his head, but yeah, that was a big mistake, because obviously Gamsu was trying to sacrifice herself. No, you take me out instead. Why are you over here trying to target, Junhee? And he wasn't having any of that, so she had to make the hard decision to take out her own son, which I didn't feel no loss for her at all, because I'm like, yeah, I knew he wasn't going to be shit to begin with when he left her high and dry when they were playing Mingle last season, so, rest in hell, please. Because I was like, okay, am I supposed to be sad over her? Because I'm still reeling over Hyunju's death. Like, I was not expecting her to get bopped. Like, and she made it to the exit, y'all. She just turned around being the good Samaritan that she was to, get Gamsu and Junhee out of there and her baby. I'm like, this is too much already. And then I should have expected it. Like, it was already teasing a teaser, and number 202, who I was like, dang, I was trying to see something. He turned out to be one of the ops, and Hyunju had to, take him out. I'm like, they had a extended fight scene, y'all. Like, they was throwing no dukes back and forth. I was like, dang. She was body slamming him and everything, and she took out that one annoying nigga too. I was like, bye. So, yeah. Hide and seek, definitely one of the intense matches ever. And I love the tension between Gi-hun and Daeho once Hyunju broke down everything that happened once Daeho left the mags. Last season when he froze up like a, little wimp and just had a, mental breakdown and just caved. It just went all catatonic at the last minute, knowing damn well they still could have put up a decent fight if they had more mags, I believe. But yeah, Gi-hun was just giving him the bombastic side eye the whole episode, y'all. I know y'all see these memes surfacing around Instagram, so damn funny. But yeah, and Daeho was like, you can't blame me because you're the one who got everybody killed, so. But I'm like, yeah, okay, and they were just going back and forth. They were pissing me off the whole time. I'm looking at Gi-hun like, you already lost, like, I don't know, like 3 childhood best friends at this point. Sang-woo told your ass stop being so naive, and you still haven't learned. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this man hasn't learned since season 1, and it's so infuriating. Oh my gosh. So they get to tussling. He literally have the knife and everything. I'm like, just take him out, It's not that difficult. And they having this prolonged cat fight, and then he just ends up strangling Daeho, and obviously he takes him out and wins. So that was his kill. But I'm like, you could have ended that way quicker than you did. Like, Gi-hun is so dramatic, like the Scorpio he is. Like, oh my gosh. So that's how hide and seek ends. Hide and seek, I would say it was very intense, but I feel like it was a pretty quick game since they only had. Like, the blue team only had like 2 minutes to hide, which I would be like, okay, you know what, that's petty as hell. And then I guess the red team had 30 minutes to find them, so, or 20 minutes, I believe. One of them, but yeah, that was the first game of the season. And then the second one that we got to witness was the jump rope game. And y'all, that was definitely, I did not like that episode at all because we lose another person I was expecting to make it to the finale, which was Junhee, because we seen her ankle got fractured while they were playing hide and seek, where her and Hyunju and Gamsu were trying to, find a place to hide and run away from the killers. So she badly injured her ankle, and we see these toxic ass VIPs just betting on who's gonna win the Squid Game or not, and one of them obviously was drunk and betted on 222 and wasn't even taking it serious because he was like, well, hopefully like she comes through and everything. But yeah, I cannot, and that's another gripe I have about the series finale as well. Like, I would say none of the VIPs' identities were exposed, which I was expecting because they're kind of alluding to that since Junho already infiltrated them once before, so, and he unmasked one of them before, so I just found that a bit tedious that didn't happen. So yeah, and I would say I was just shocked by how quick Min-soo, yeah, he just completely changed as a character. Like, I was like, okay, you were just like reclusive, quiet person, and now you're a Thanos protege. Like, I was like, okay, so since when he turned into a pill popper? I'm highly confused. Like, he stole Thanos' cross from old boy that stole it from Thanos. So I'm like, okay, why are you popping pills? And now he done got addicted to them because he can't handle them, and over here hallucinating about save me throughout the whole hide and seek game. I'm like, yeah, I can see he definitely wasn't gonna make it. I'm shocked he popped the pill during jump rope and made it across on that pill. I'm genuinely shocked. Like, but when he took out Thanos' partners, I was so satisfied. I was like, thank you with his annoying ass. Like, thank you. We threw the cross out to the floor. That was funny as hell. Thank God for Gi-Hone snapping out of his catatonic state when, unfortunately, Gamsu, which is number 7's mom, she took her life like prior to jump rope and had to be there for Junhee since her lame ass baby daddy wasn't gonna do shit. Obviously, we know this. So he tied baby 222 and was the first to make it across of jump rope. I'm like, yeah, he did that. That was a very intense thing because I was very scared for it. And they had the audacity to put a gap in a bridge to not make it as easy. I'm like, oh, like, I'm trying to contemplate what was more diabolical, that or glass stepping stones for season 1. Because I feel like glass stepping stones was more nerve-wracking than jump rope. Because I would say the jump rope game didn't really look like a difficult game to fail, I would say. And the jump rope length wasn't that high, you know, they didn't have to jump super high to make it across, so it wasn't that difficult as some of the players were making it out to be. Now, glass stepping stones, that was definitely Russian roulette because that was insane. Like, I don't think nothing's going to top that because this was definitely the equivalent to glass stepping stones jump rope was. So, what I thought was going to be an amped up version of red light, green light, you know, it wasn't. It was just a basic jump rope game. So he was the first to make it across, and then some dumbass player decides to start pushing other players, so not many make it over, and just being very irrational. I was like I said about last season, these new batch of players, they are like cold-hearted and shiesty as hell. Like in season 1, at least they tried to work together to like survive the games. That was all explained then, but I couldn't stand this group. I was so happy to see when the finale arrived, and towards the end of jump rope, Junhee, she just like doesn't even try, and I knew like she wasn't gonna make it across because Gi-Hone was gonna try to make it back over there to get Junhee, but yeah, that didn't ever happen, and she just sacrificed herself. She told him, you know, take care of my baby, you know, get her out of here, make sure she lives a happy life, you know, and she just takes hers, and I hated that she, you know, did that. I'm like, damn, like, they're killing off all my face so far, so that definitely left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, a lot of characters I thought were gonna make it in the finale just didn't make it to the finale. I'm like, now, you know, at least Hyunju and Junhee definitely could have made it to the finale. I just hate that Junhee got her ankle broke, because I definitely think she could have been one of the finalists. And then in the side plots, we see, you know, Junho still trying to find an island. His friend Juan goes to investigate the captain, since we know the captain has secretly been working with In-ho and keeping Junho distracted from finding the island. So that was the subplot going on the side, and he found the evidence and, you know, tries to expose him. Well, he did manage to expose him, but gets arrested in the process, and Junho has to, you know, save the lives of the mercenary team that Kim was a part of. I was so glad Kim didn't get killed. I was so nervous in that scene. I was like, okay, whew. You would say so. That was very intense. Diabolical scene. Like, the captain just took out all of Kim's team and almost took out Kim. Like, that was crazy. And Junho finally makes it to the island. Then we see Noel having a major breakthrough in, you know, saving player 246. So I was so worried about, you know, how that was gonna turn out. And she managed to take out all the corrupt PlayStation maskmen who were organ harvesting, which was satisfying, and she patched up 246, and then unfortunately she had to take out her boss, the one that she worked at the amusement park with, who was also working for In-ho, and that was an intense scene too, because he was saying how he wanted to take her out, you know, get to know since they're both from North Korea, and She wasn't trying to hear any of that. She was just trying to find her baby the whole time. And I would say I really enjoyed watching her more than some of the players this season. Like, her story was more interesting than the other randoms that made it to the finals. Because I would say the characters that made it to the final Squid Game, you really didn't care about besides Gihon and player 222's baby, because it's like 222 lived on through her baby in a sense. So when 333 made it to the finale, and like that annoying ass old man who couldn't shut the hell up since season 2, the one that was like in 10 billion, that, yeah, I was like, yeah, I was happy when he finally bit the dust. I'm like, yes. And it was like 6 other, I would say more finalists made it to the finale than the previous seasons, which was interesting, but it was just the finalists that I didn't care about. It would have been a more evocative feeling if like Hyunju, Gamsu, and Junhee, and like 333, all of them made it with Gihon to like that final Squid Game. Because if y'all seen it already, that final Squid Game was some crazy stuff right there. Like, that was insane. They had to like basically choose a player to push off each shape to make it across to the final shape, and the one finalist obviously, you know, wins the game. And this is very intense. So it dwindles down to the final 3 of Gihon and player 333. And this shiesty motherfucker was about to take out, I believe he was not going to save his baby. He did not care about that baby one bit, because if you remember early in season 2, he told you, why the hell you didn't get rid of it? I was like, red flag number 1 right there. That told you all you need to know about the nigga. Like, he was not going to be a good father, so he was going to end up sacrificing that baby. Gihon wasn't going for that. And I knew either Gihon was going to make it out a Squid Game alive, or he was going to be a martyr and sacrifice himself for someone else to win, which he does in the end, and he takes out 333. But it was so convoluted, such a convoluted like scene in terms of him, you know, hanging on Gihon's suit jacket, and it rips and tears, and he falls to that 333. I was like, thank you, bye, because you should have been gone, because he the one who took out Hyunju, so I had no sympathy for his lame ass either. And I'm just glad the only ones I was satisfied with their loss was like Daeho, number 7, and 333, and that annoying ass old man. I was like, sir, oh my gosh. But Gihon, you know, sacrificed himself, and the VIPs were even gagged. They were like, has there ever been a person who won the games twice in a row? Because technically, I would say it should have been a tie between Gihon and the baby. Obviously, because Gihon would have like split it with the baby. So, yeah. Overall, like I said, it was an entertaining season, but nothing's beating season 1, you know. So, like, because it concludes with, I would say the only ones who has to like, it ended peacefully in a sense for, was player 246, because he ends up getting out, and you know, his daughter is healthier, and it seems like her illness isn't damaging her like it was in season 2, and she's like growing healthy, that was nice to see. I would say they had a happy ending. And we know In-ho, like, you know, blew up the island and took player 222 after Gihon sacrificed himself by tossing himself off the last shade. I will say I hate how they didn't have a final confrontation in a sense, like a longer one, because he just shouted at him like, why? Like, why'd you do all this? Like, they needed to have way more conversation than that. I feel like they spoke more to each other in season 1's finale rather than this one, when he revealed himself to the front man. So I just felt like that was a bit too unrealistic. Like, I was like, no, if my brother shot me, I'll be hunting him down to the ends of the earth, and we're having a confrontation, a long one. So, yeah, that was crazy. I was like, that was a bit underdeveloped in my opinion. Very anticlimactic. So we know In-ho has custody of 222. And we also see In-ho dropping off Gihon's money, since we know he was the one who broke into Gihon's motel room where he had his winnings from the season 1's game. And obviously he put that all in a bank account, and we see him pop up at Ga Young's new place, and she's all grown up and everything. I'm like, oh, look at Ga Young. Like, that was so nice seeing her. I'm like, and he gave her, obviously, Gi-hoon's debit card with all the winnings on it. And basically said, it gave her the news, because at first she thought Gi-hoon was being aloof, non-caring father, but then he broke the news to her, like, no, he's, passed away. But here's his belongings, and then he put the Squid Game card on there as well, and his uniform, so then he hurries up and speeds off, then she tries to rush and ask more questions. Now, I'm also shocked that, even though I heard rumblings about it already, they also announced a Squid Game spinoff that's going to be set in America. It seems like, because we see a American recruiter, a blonde woman, playing Dakaji with a homeless man in the alley, and Iho stops and watches it. She smiles at him, and, I guess that is confirmation that we're getting the American spinoff of Squid Game, which the only concern I have about that, hopefully they get more into developing the characters more and the story has a more conclusive ending. Because I still feel like season 3, like the original series, it was a bit anticlimactic, and it still could have answered a lot of questions that we still have, especially about the VIPs and how are they setting up the Squid Games and everything. Another surprise I loved was Inho gave Junhee's baby, which is 222, who technically won the game since Gi-hoon sacrificed himself. Inho gave 222's baby to Junho, since it seems like Junho's retired from the police force and he needs to keep himself busy, so Inho dropped the baby off, like, here, there you go, raise her. He left the debit card there, so that baby, she's set for life, so technically she will live a stable life. And Junho's definitely not gonna let anything bad happen, so I'm just glad he's, like, trained and protective, and he definitely has the great traits of a father. So overall, yeah, that's my thoughts on Squid Game Season 3. Because, yeah, I would say overall, my ranking for Season 3, I would say 6.5 out of 10. Because I feel like a lot of characters that didn't make it could have made it to the end, and that would have made the story feel more conclusive to the Squid Games that's going to take place in Korea. So overall, my rankings of each season for my faves, well, I would say obviously number 1 is Season 1 of Squid Game. Nothing's compared to Season 1 of Squid Game. Like the character development, the story of the games, they're just like intense and very unforgettable. And then obviously the second one will be Season 2, because the main game I enjoyed out of Season 2 was Mingle. That's what really caught my attention. And we got introduced to some new characters that are definitely unforgettable. And obviously at the bottom would be Squid Game Season 3. Just because I feel like it could have been developed a little bit better and answered a lot more questions that we still have. So y'all let me know down in the comments below, like, did y'all enjoy the series finale of Squid Game, and are you excited for the US spinoff of Squid Game? So I don't know, I'm a bit skeptical. Yeah, because I see some theories. Hopefully Ga Young doesn't try to do some investigating into the Squid Game, since Gi-hoon wouldn't want her to even stumble upon that information. So I hope she doesn't end up joining the US ones, because I know that a few fans speculated that maybe. And I just wonder if a different police force is going to tackle, trying to bring down Inho and the Squid Game and expose the VIPs as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts. And I'm Treacherous Slayer, and I'll catch y'all later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Bye.